In the vastness of the universe, humanity was a speck. Earth was a small blue planet located in a quiet corner of the galaxy. Other civilizations had traveled the stars for centuries, creating empires and advanced technologies. Yet, humans were still young explorers, just beginning to spread their wings into space. At the Galactic Innovation Summit, a yearly event where the most advanced species from across the universe came together to share their discoveries, Earth was hardly noticed. The summit took place on a massive space station, floating high above a sparkling nebula. It was a grand event, with alien species displaying their latest technologies and inventions. Ships capable of faster-than-light travel, energy weapons that could wipe out entire fleets, and AI systems that could predict the future were all showcased. Earth's representatives were invited as mere observers. They sat quietly in the back, surrounded by the more powerful and experienced beings from other worlds. The humans were a bit out of place, their modest clothes and primitive technology a sharp contrast to the advanced beings around them. They were treated kindly, but everyone knew that humans were not yet a force to be reckoned with. Among the Earth delegation was a curious young child named Alex. Alex wasn't concerned with the politics or status of the event. Instead, Alex was fascinated by the technology, the ships, and the alien inventions. Every corner of the summit was a new wonder, something Alex had never imagined possible. While the grown-ups discussed the technicalities of space exploration, Alex wandered the halls, eyes wide with excitement. In the corner of the summit hall, a small display caught Alex's attention. It was a model of a sleek, silver warship, a ship unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It had smooth, flowing lines, and its engines glowed with an eerie blue light. The ship seemed alive, almost like it was ready to leap into space at any moment. Without thinking, Alex pulled out a small notebook and began to sketch. The shapes flowed from Alex's mind to the paper without hesitation. A few lines here, a few curves there, and before long, Alex had drawn an image of a ship. It wasn't like the sleek, silver model, but it had something special. Alex had unknowingly combined the principles of several ships seen earlier that day, creating a new design that, in the child's eyes, was just cool. Alex added details: a faster propulsion system, stronger shields, and an engine capable of reaching places no ship had gone before. Alex's imagination ran wild, mixing the advanced tech of the summit with human creativity. The young mind had no idea what the design could mean. It was just fun, a way to pass the time, and be part of something grand. Meanwhile, the rest of the summit continued. The representatives of the Galactic Union, an alliance of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, discussed matters of trade and technology. The Union consisted of species far older and more advanced than humans. They looked down on Earth, seeing it as a young, unimportant planet. Many considered Earth's technology outdated and inefficient. In fact, the Union delegates often laughed quietly among themselves, mocking the idea that a species so new to space exploration could have any real contributions to the galaxy. They had no idea that a simple child's doodles would soon challenge their entire view of humanity. After the event ended, the Earth delegation prepared to leave. Alex's parent, a scientist, packed up the materials, oblivious to the sketches sitting quietly in Alex's notebook. But when it was time to board the shuttle back to Earth, Alex's notebook slipped from the bag and fell into the hands of someone unexpected. A member of the Hecklin species, Zalric, had been wandering the halls of the summit when the notebook caught his attention. Zalric was an eccentric engineer, known for his willingness to explore unconventional ideas. Curious, he opened the notebook and stared at the drawings. At first, he chuckled. A child's dream, he thought. But then he looked closer. The design was strange, yes, but there was something about it that made Zalric pause. Some of the components, some of the ideas, seemed possible. Something about the ship Alex had drawn felt right, like it might actually work. And so, without telling anyone, Zalric made a decision. He would investigate further. This, he believed, was something worth looking into. Zalrik sat in his small workshop late that night, a dim light flickering above his workbench. His many gadgets and tools were scattered across the room, but his focus was on one thing: the notebook he had found at the Galactic Innovation Summit. The child's sketches were simple at first glance, filled with swirls, lines, and shapes that seemed to have no meaning. But as Zalrik studied them more closely, he began to see something deeper. There was a pattern, a hidden genius in the design. It was as if the child had instinctively understood things that even seasoned engineers had overlooked. Zalrik knew that the child's design was far from perfect, but there was something about it that intrigued him. The propulsion system was unlike anything he had ever seen before. It suggested a way to reach faster than light travel, something the galaxy's brightest minds had been struggling with for centuries. He reached for a piece of paper and began to sketch out the basic shape of the ship from the child's drawing. He added his own calculations, making minor adjustments, but the more he worked, the more he realized the design could actually work. "This is impossible," Zalrik muttered to himself. "No one, not even the greatest minds in the galaxy, have thought of this before." But the more he thought about it, the more excited he became. The child's design, though crude, held the key to a breakthrough that could change the course of galactic history. It wasn't just about faster travel. It was about the way the ship would operate, its propulsion, its speed, and the way it would handle in space. The entire galaxy could be transformed by a design born from a child's imagination. Zalrik couldn't believe what he was seeing. He had to know more. He couldn't let the opportunity slip away. But first, he needed to find the child who had created the design. He contacted the Galactic Union's database, hoping to track down any information about the Earth delegation. After a few hours of searching, he found the name he was looking for: Alex, a young human child. There was very little information on Alex, just that the child had attended the summit with their parent, a scientist from Earth. Zalrik knew what he had to do. He had to meet Alex and learn more about this strange, brilliant mind that had created something so incredible. But how? The Union's political system was complex, and Earth was still seen as an insignificant planet. Zalrik was unsure how he could even approach Alex without raising suspicion. For the next few days, Zalrik spent his time studying the designs more and more, refining his ideas. He kept the notebook locked away in a safe place, afraid that anyone else might stumble upon it and steal the discovery. But no one seemed to notice. The Union was too focused on their own technologies, too busy arguing over which species held the most power. They had no idea that humanity, especially this child, could change everything. Meanwhile, on Earth, Alex's parent was unaware of the storm brewing in the galaxy. The child's simple doodles had been forgotten, tucked away in a bag that no one had thought to examine again. Back on the space station, Zalrik finally decided to take action. He reached out to a few trusted friends, those who had always been curious and open-minded. Together, they formed a small team, determined to bring the child's design to life. They worked in secret, studying the mechanics of the design and testing the feasibility of the technology. Every time they ran the simulations, they were amazed. The propulsion system seemed to be the key. Something about the way the design used energy was far more efficient than anything the galaxy had ever seen. But Zalrik knew they needed more information. They needed to understand how the child had come up with the design in the first place. He decided to take a risk. He contacted Earth's representatives once again, this time not as an observer but as someone seeking an audience with Alex. He hoped that the humans would take him seriously, even though he was just one engineer from a lesser-known species. After all, this was a matter of great importance. If Alex's design could change everything, humanity deserved to know. Days passed before Zalrik received a response. The Earth delegation was cautious but agreed to meet. They knew nothing of the potential of the child's drawings, but Zalrik's request had caught their attention. As Zalrik prepared to travel to Earth, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. The galaxy was about to change, And it all started with the simple creativity of a child. The Galactic Union was a place where only the most advanced species were treated with respect. The most powerful civilizations controlled vast stretches of space, their technology far beyond anything Earth could even dream of. The Union's political meetings were filled with debates, mostly about how to maintain control over the galaxy's resources, how to stay ahead of other species, and how to keep their power intact. Humanity, with its outdated ships and primitive technology, was nothing more than a curiosity to them. But all of that was about to change. Zalric, having secured a meeting with Earth's representatives, arrived at the appointed time with a small group of trusted engineers. The humans were wary of his presence, unsure of what to expect from the alien engineer. They didn't know why he had taken such an interest in Alex's designs, but Zalric was prepared to explain everything. As the Earth delegation entered the room, Zalric wasted no time. He laid out the designs Alex had drawn, now polished and refined. The humans looked at them with puzzled expressions. They had seen the rough sketches before, but they didn't understand the significance. To them, it had been a child's idle thoughts, something that had been forgotten the moment they left the summit. Zalric, however, spoke with passion. This design, he began, pointing to the diagrams, is not just a series of random shapes and lines. It is the key to faster-than-light travel. The propulsion system, the energy distribution, everything in this design has the potential to revolutionize the way we travel through space. The humans in the room exchanged glances. They were skeptical. After all, this was just a child's doodle, wasn't it? But Zalric's voice grew more urgent as he continued. I have analyzed this design with my colleagues. What we thought was impossible is now within reach. With this technology, humanity could leap ahead of all the other species in the galaxy. You could be the ones to take the first steps into a new era. The room fell silent. The humans were stunned. They had never imagined that something as simple as a child's drawing could hold so much power. But as they thought about it, they realized that Zalric wasn't exaggerating. The propulsion system was unlike anything they had seen before. It wasn't just faster. It was more efficient, more stable, and more adaptable than any of the current technology in use by the Union's top species. One of the human scientists, Dr. Mayers, spoke up cautiously. If this is true, why haven't any of the other species discovered it? Why has no one else seen this potential? Zalric nodded. That's the strange part. No one else has thought to combine these concepts in this way. The design is unconventional, and many of the more established species in the Union would never consider such an approach. It's too different for them. But that's where the genius lies. The humans exchanged looks again, still processing what they had just heard. There was a sense of disbelief in the air. Could this really be true? Could Earth, the species they had long been mocked for, actually hold the key to something so important? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the news of the discovery began to spread. Word quickly reached the highest levels of the Galactic Union. The other species, those who had always seen humanity as beneath them, were not pleased. The idea that Earth could have made such a breakthrough was laughable, and the Union leaders couldn't fathom how this could have happened. But the evidence was there. Zalric's calculations were sound. The design was real, and it worked. The ship that Alex had drawn could, indeed, be built. Soon, factions began to form within the Union. Some species were excited by the potential of the new technology, seeing it as a way to gain an edge over their rivals. Others were fearful. What would this mean for their power? If humanity could develop such advanced technology, they might one day challenge the established order. The leaders of the Galactic Union convened in secret to discuss what to do next. They couldn't simply ignore the discovery, but they also couldn't let Earth have control of this technology. After all, humanity was still a young, untested species. They didn't have the experience to handle such power. Zalric's role in all of this was becoming clearer too. Some Union leaders saw him as a hero who had uncovered humanity's true potential. Others saw him as a troublemaker who had stirred up a hornet's nest. But the one thing everyone agreed on was this: the galaxy would never be the same again. Back on Earth, Alex had no idea what was happening. To the child, the designs had been a fun little project, a way to pass the time during the summit. But now, the very thing Alex had created was shaking the foundations of the entire galaxy. And as the political storm brewed in the background, the question remained: what would humanity do with this newfound power? Would they rise to the challenge, or would the galaxy's more powerful species prevent them from ever reaching their full potential? The news of the child's design spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Across the vast stretches of space, people from every corner of the Galactic Union began to talk about it. Some were excited, seeing the possibilities for new technology and a future where travel between stars could happen faster than ever before. But for many others, the news was terrifying. Humanity had never been considered a serious player in the galaxy's vast politics, but now that was about to change. In the heart of the Galactic Union, the Council of Species met to discuss what to do next. The summit had been a peaceful gathering, a place where civilizations shared their achievements and discussed their futures. But now, with humanity's breakthrough, the atmosphere had shifted. A storm was brewing, and the tension was palpable. The leaders of the most powerful species were divided. Some saw the design as a gift, an opportunity to work together with humanity and push the boundaries of space exploration. Others, however, saw the breakthrough as a threat. If humans could create such advanced technology, what else could they achieve? What else might they discover? The Union's leaders began to whisper behind closed doors. They were afraid of what humanity's rise could mean for the balance of power in the galaxy. Would Earth, once seen as a weak and backward planet, now compete with the oldest and most powerful species? Would the humans demand a seat at the table, challenging the status quo? Meanwhile, Zalric, the eccentric engineer who had first uncovered the true potential of Alex's design, began to fear the worst. He had once believed that humanity's creativity could be a force for good, but now, as the Union began to split over the issue, he worried that something darker might happen. The factions that feared humanity's rise were already planning to act. Zalric's role in all of this had become more complicated. He had hoped to guide humanity into a new era of technological development, but the political forces at play were more powerful than he had ever imagined. The Union's leaders, especially those from the older and more established species, were determined to keep control of the new technology. They couldn't let humans, who they still saw as primitive, take the lead. Zalric understood this. He had seen how politics worked in the Galactic Union, and he knew that powerful species would stop at nothing to maintain their dominance. Some were already plotting to steal the designs for themselves, and others were even considering using force to suppress humanity's newfound power. On Earth, Alex was completely unaware of the growing storm. The child had returned home, thinking little of the designs. To Alex, it had been a fun and creative way to pass the time, a simple experiment in imagination. But behind the scenes, the galaxy's most powerful leaders were making decisions that would affect the future of humanity. The Earth delegation was still in the dark about the true weight of Alex's work. Dr. Mayers, Alex's parent, had no idea that their child's innocent doodles had become the focus of a galactic power struggle. The idea of humanity being pulled into such dangerous political games had never crossed their mind. But soon, Zalric reached out again, this time with an urgent message. "We need to act quickly," he wrote. "The Union is divided, and not everyone wants this technology to be shared with Earth. Some factions are already moving to seize it. If we don't act, the designs may be stolen, and humanity will lose its chance to make its mark on the galaxy." Dr. Mayers, upon reading the message, was struck with a cold realization. It was one thing to share knowledge, but another thing entirely to realize that the galaxy's most powerful species didn't want Earth to rise. They feared humanity's potential, and that fear was now turning into action. Zalric knew the stakes were high. He had already started working on a small team of engineers and diplomats, a secret group who wanted to ensure that humanity had the opportunity to thrive in the galaxy. But Zalrik also knew that there would be those who would fight back against humanity's rise. Some of the Union's leaders wouldn't accept a new power in the galaxy so easily. As the days passed, Zalrik's team worked tirelessly, making sure that the designs were protected and that the right people would get the knowledge they needed. But the deeper he got into the political web of the Galactic Union, the more dangerous it became. The factions that wanted to control the new technology were closing in, and Zalrik knew that time was running out. Back on Earth, Dr. Mayers and Alex tried to make sense of the situation, but the political tension in the galaxy was beyond their understanding. All they knew was that the fate of humanity's future had just become far more complicated. As the days passed, the political tension in the Galactic Union grew stronger. The factions that feared humanity's rise were beginning to take action. The older, more powerful species were using their influence to rally support for a plan that would keep the new technology out of humanity's hands. They argued that Earth was not ready for such power, that humanity had not earned the right to play a significant role in the galaxy. On the other hand, there were those who saw the breakthrough as an opportunity to expand the galaxy's reach, to push the boundaries of space travel and exploration. These individuals believed that humanity had the creativity and potential to contribute something truly unique. They argued that Earth's fresh perspective could bring about discoveries no one had thought possible. Zalrik found himself caught in the middle. He had seen the promise of humanity's potential when he first discovered Alex's designs, and he still believed that the child's creativity was the key to a brighter future. But the political forces at play were becoming more dangerous by the day. He knew that the factions who wanted to keep humanity down would stop at nothing to prevent Earth from advancing. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, Zalrik's team continued their work. They knew that time was running out. If they didn't act quickly, the designs could be taken from them, and humanity's opportunity to step into the future might be lost forever. Zalrik couldn't let that happen. He had to make a choice: stay within the system of the Union and risk losing everything, or break away and help humanity take control of its own destiny. But Zalrik couldn't do it alone. He needed help. He needed the support of Earth's leaders, and he needed them to understand the gravity of the situation. So he sent another message to Dr. Mayers, hoping that they could work together to protect humanity's future. In the message, Zalrik wrote, "We are running out of time. The factions that want to control this technology are moving faster than we anticipated. If we don't act now, humanity could lose its chance to become a true player in the galaxy. You must decide if Earth is ready to fight for its place in the stars." Dr. Mayers sat in the quiet of their study, staring at the screen, reading Zalrik's words over and over. It was hard to believe that this was happening. Earth, a planet that had once been so insignificant, was now at the center of a galactic struggle for power. But as they thought about the future, they realized that humanity could not afford to back down. Dr. Mayers stood up, walking over to Alex's room. The child was sitting at the desk, drawing new designs, blissfully unaware of the galactic storm that was brewing around them. Dr. Mayers watched Alex for a moment, thinking about the potential locked inside this young mind. Could Alex really be the key to humanity's future? The answer was clear. Humanity had to take its future into its own hands. If they didn't, others would make the decisions for them. And humanity had already proved it was capable of far more than anyone had expected. "Alex," Dr. Mayers said softly, "I need you to listen carefully. Things are happening that I don't fully understand yet. But the designs you created, those ideas, you've given humanity a chance to make a mark in the galaxy. We can't let that chance slip away." Alex looked up, their eyes wide with curiosity. "What do you mean?" Dr. Mayers hesitated for a moment. "The leaders of the galaxy are afraid of what your ideas could mean. Some of them want to take the technology and control it. They want to stop humanity from advancing." Alex frowned, not fully understanding but sensing the weight of their parents' words. "But we can't just let them do that, right?" "No, we can't," Dr. Mayers said, their voice firm. We need to be ready to fight for what's right. You're the one who created this, Alex. You've opened a door that can change everything. But we need to act before it's too late. Zalric's message weighed heavily on Dr. Mayer's mind. They knew they had to act quickly, but the stakes were high. If they were going to protect humanity's future, they would need to navigate the complicated politics of the Galactic Union and fight against powerful forces who would stop at nothing to maintain control. The decision was made. Dr. Mayers and Alex would stand with Zalric and his team, whatever it took. Humanity's future was in their hands, and they would not back down. The galaxy might see them as small and insignificant, but humanity had something the other species didn't, a will to fight for their place in the stars. Zalric's gamble was about to become their own. The decision was made. Humanity would not let this chance slip away. Dr. Mayers, Alex, and Zalric were united in their mission to ensure that the designs Alex had created would be protected and shared with the galaxy. But their journey would not be easy. The forces aligned against them were powerful, and their enemies were willing to do whatever it took to keep humanity from rising. Zalric had spent the past few days meeting with key allies, trying to rally support from those who believed in humanity's potential. But every conversation seemed to be a battle. Some species were still skeptical about whether humans could handle such power, while others simply didn't want Earth to rise at all. The political factions were pulling in different directions, each with their own agenda. Despite the challenges, Zalric remained hopeful. He had seen the spark of brilliance in humanity's designs, and he knew that if they could just get the technology into the right hands, it would change everything. But there were risks. Powerful species had already begun to mobilize, and they were not about to let humanity become a threat to their dominance. Back on Earth, Dr. Mayers and Alex prepared for what was coming. They had no idea just how dangerous the situation was becoming. To Alex, this had all started as a fun and creative experiment, a way to pass the time at a galactic summit. But now, it was something much bigger. Humanity's future rested on the child's innocent drawings, and the weight of that responsibility was starting to sink in. Alex sat in their room, staring at the designs, lost in thought. They had never imagined that something as simple as a drawing could have such an impact. But as they looked at the intricate shapes and calculations, Alex began to understand. These designs held the potential to change the way the entire galaxy operated. If they could get this technology into the right hands, humanity could achieve things no one had ever dreamed of. Dr. Mayers entered the room and sat down beside Alex. "Are you ready for what's coming?" they asked softly. Alex nodded, though their face showed a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "I think so, but it's all happening so fast." Dr. Mayers placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "It's a lot to take in, but you're not alone in this. Zalric, the engineers, and we're all working together to make sure your designs are protected. We're not going to let anyone take this away from us." Alex smiled, feeling reassured. "I just want to help. I want to make sure everyone can see what humanity is capable of." Dr. Mayers gave a small laugh. "You already have, Alex. Now we have to make sure the galaxy sees it too." At that moment, Zalric sent a message to Dr. Mayers, informing them that they had secured a meeting with some of the key leaders of the Galactic Union. The time to act was now. Zalric had arranged for the designs to be presented to the Union's Council, and humanity's future would be decided in the next few days. But as the meeting approached, Zalric and his team were becoming increasingly aware of the risks they faced. Some factions within the Union had already begun to take aggressive steps. Rumors of sabotage and covert operations were circulating, and Zalric feared that the designs might be stolen before they could even be presented. It was clear that humanity's rise was being met with fierce opposition. Zalric sent another message to Dr. Mayers, his tone urgent. "We must move quickly. I've learned that certain factions are planning to intercept the designs. If they get their hands on them before we present them to the Council, it will be over. We cannot let that happen." Dr. Mayers felt a knot form in their stomach. The stakes were higher than ever. They had known the risks, but the realization that they could lose everything in a matter of hours made the situation even more pressing. Humanity's future, the chance to break free from the shadows of other species, was at risk. "We'll be ready," Dr. Mayers replied firmly, trying to keep their voice steady. "We won't let them take it." With the clock ticking down, Zalric's team prepared for the final stage. They had a plan in place to protect the designs, but it was risky. There would be no room for mistakes. Every decision from here on out would shape the future of humanity in the galaxy. If they succeeded, Earth would no longer be seen as insignificant. It would be a powerful force to be reckoned with. But if they failed, humanity's place in the stars would be lost before it even had a chance to begin. As Zalric made his way to the council, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of fear and hope. Everything rested on the next few days. The future of the galaxy, and humanity, was hanging by a thread. The day of the meeting finally arrived. The council chamber of the Galactic Union was filled with leaders from every corner of the galaxy, each representing a powerful species. They gathered to decide the fate of humanity and the future of the new technology Alex had designed. The tension in the room was thick, and the air felt heavy with anticipation. Zalric stood at the front, his heart racing. He had been preparing for this moment for days, and now it was here. He looked over at Dr. Mayers and Alex, who sat in the audience. The child's wide eyes were filled with a mixture of wonder and uncertainty. It was hard to believe that something so simple, Alex's drawings, had led them here. But this was the moment that could change everything. The council members, some skeptical and others eager to see what humanity could offer, began to settle into their seats. The debate was about to begin. Zalric stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Honorable leaders of the Galactic Union," he began, "today, we stand at the crossroads of history. Humanity, a species that many of you once thought unworthy of your attention, has the potential to change the very fabric of our galaxy." The room fell silent. The members of the council exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. Some had openly mocked Earth's progress in the past, but now they were listening. Zalric continued. "What you see before you are not just designs," he said, gesturing to the holographic projections of Alex's work. "They are the key to unlocking a new era of space travel, an era that could propel us to distant stars and allow us to explore the unknown. Humanity, through the creativity and brilliance of a single child, has discovered the technology to take us all further than we ever thought possible." The council members remained quiet, their eyes locked on the designs. No one spoke, and the tension in the room grew. But Zalric knew that this was the moment. The design spoke for itself. If they were allowed to move forward, humanity could bring something entirely new to the galaxy, something that could change everything. After a long pause, one of the older council members, a representative of the Arcturians, stood. His face was stern, and his voice was cold as he addressed Zalric. "You ask us to put our trust in a species that has not yet proven itself. Can humanity really handle such power? We've seen civilizations rise and fall. We cannot afford to make the wrong choice." Zalric took a deep breath. "I understand your concerns, but this is not just about power. It's about potential. Humanity has already proven itself capable of unexpected breakthroughs. It is not the age or experience of a species that defines its future, but its willingness to grow, to learn, and to adapt." Another council member, a representative of the peaceful Valorians, spoke up. "But the risks are high. We are talking about faster-than-light travel, the ability to reach distant worlds in the blink of an eye. What if this power falls into the wrong hands? What if humanity isn't ready for it?" Zalric nodded. "That is a valid concern. But this technology does not belong to any one species. It belongs to all of us. It is up to us to guide humanity and ensure that they use it for the good of the galaxy." The debate continued for what felt like hours, with members arguing for and against humanity's inclusion in the galaxy's future. But as the conversation unfolded, something remarkable began to happen. The fear and skepticism began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of curiosity. Some of the leaders who had once doubted humanity's abilities started to see the potential that Zalric had seen all along. Finally, after much discussion, the leader of the council, a wise and respected figure from the advanced Thailand species, stood. The room grew quiet as he addressed the assembly. "Enough," he said, his voice commanding. "It is clear that humanity's potential cannot be ignored. We have spent too long looking down on them, thinking they were unworthy. But today, we stand at the edge of a new beginning. I propose that we allow humanity to join the Galactic Union as an equal member. Not only will we share our knowledge, but we will help them grow and become the leaders they are destined to be." The room erupted into a mixture of gasps and murmurs. The decision had been made. Humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. Zalric's heart soared. He looked at Dr. Mayers and Alex, who were sitting in the audience, their faces filled with disbelief and excitement. The child's designs had done what no one had thought possible. Humanity was no longer an insignificant species. It was now a force to be reckoned with. As the meeting came to a close, Zalric stepped down from the podium, his eyes meeting Dr. Mayers and Alex's. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had a place in the stars. And so, with the stroke of a decision, the galaxy was forever changed. The era of humanity had begun.